Unconsciousness equals suffering. God damn, that's the biggest message that kept hitting me as I was researching Alec Baldwin this week. So here's a little picture of him and Billy Bush. It's a great interview. It was a couple of years ago. Billy Bush was coming back from the controversy that he had with Donald Trump and saying bad things about women and stuff. So Billy, kind of being a douchebaggy guy, he went through some hard times, was gone for a while, really self-respective, really grew, got into stoicism, and came back a better person. So a lot of respect for Billy Bush, going through something really hard and then growing from it. You know, it's a hero's journey. That's what we're looking for. In this little interview, Alec Baldwin is giving him advice on, you just got to keep going. Alec Baldwin was saying, like, yeah, bad things happen to good people. Ironically, a couple years later, Alec Baldwin accidentally shot and killed the camera person at a fucking set, right? Just looks like it's possibly like a sloppy accident is why somebody died, and poor Alec Baldwin was the one holding the gun. So kind of his fault, but kind of not his fault. But the point is that bad things are going to happen to good people and to bad people. You can't let one bad moment define your life, right? Now, researching Alec Baldwin, though, it's not that he just has one bad moment that defines his life. Well, one of the things that defines his life is that he's kind of known as a guy that has anger issues. Like, that was a thing that kept coming up as I was researching him and finding, like, a lot of clips of him in his personal life or yelling at paparazzi where he's got a lot of anger issues and people kind of know him as that. And that's great and funny and all. Like, Adam Sandler has anger issues. I have anger issues. A lot of people have anger issues, but it's like he is kind of in denial of it. He's kind of like, no, maybe like once or twice. Type-wise, what I was very surprised by is that I'm seeing this guy as an ESTJ. Here's kind of an ESTJ look. You get that SI lip, the SI eyes. Now that I figured him out as an ESTJ, now I can't not see it. I do not believe him to be double masculine. He's not. He's slappy. He's just kind of a rubbery guy that's as slappy, but not actual physical force. Don't let this picture deceive you. The one that really hit me the most is there's an audio online you can look up. It's a 2-minute audio where he's just yelling at his daughter, just berating her unmerciful. I guess he's going to come out to visit, and he had called her, and she didn't pick up, and he just unloads.
You have insulted me for the last time. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old or 11 years old, or that you're a child, or that your mother is a thoughtless pain in the ass who doesn't care about what you do as far as I'm concerned. You have humiliated me for the last time with this phone.
Just a perfect string of EJ shit, right? And the thing that he was saying too is like, I'm tired of you making me feel this way. God damn. So Alec, unfortunately, is not somebody that I'm seeing is kind of going the right way in life as he gets older. You know what I mean? This is going to be the most common thing. If you look at your friends, your family, your grandparents, your neighbors, you're going to see the Alec Baldwin type story where the older they get, the more they double down, the more angry they get, the more belligerent, the more drunk, the more unconscious, and their brains just get in a real kind of toxified state of, it's not my fault, So it's not like all ESTJs are bad or all INTJs are bad or whatever type you are or whatever. It's like out of every type, you have the ones that as they get older, they take responsibility for their demons because they go through hard times, and then most people just fucking don't. So Alec's got a lot of firepower up at the top. You got masculine TE at the top and then these little feminine demons down here. So he's going to have a lot of, I guess you would just describe it as bipolarism. Just very bipolar behavior. Would be very nice, very put together, very polite, and then just unload, attack, and then be like, what? I didn't do anything. That wasn't me. The visual, especially on an EJ, and Shani will tell you about this, it's quite an interesting combination because it'll be very smacky at the tribe, but then there's not the double masculinity to back it up. I also like the double masculine EJs. They'll get smacky with the tribe, and then when shit comes to shove, they're like, yeah, and I can physically beat you. You're like, okay, so you got a good point here, So the poor visuals, they'll get into skirmishes with the tribe, but then they don't physically actually intimidate or back up, This first clip is so good. So Stephen Colbert is just damn good at interviewing. So he knows that the tribe knows that there's anger issues with Alec Baldwin. So Stephen wants to put on a good show and actually ask some good questions. So Stephen is having to go into double decider land and be like, hey, so there's some bad things about you. Can we talk about that? And this is such a great example of why the video typing process and why ops to the public doesn't really work at scale. For most people, this is the normal reaction. You have somebody who has anger issues, masculine TE at the top, is known in the tribe to attack everybody, and you're like, hey, so you're kind of the angry guy. And they go, no.
You famously yelled at a paparazzo out there on the street one day, more than one time, right? Okay. But what I didn't understand was sometimes you seem like an angry guy, but you're handsome, you're extremely talented, you're wealthy, you have a beautiful wife, you have children, you have a great career.
Look at that.
What made you angry? What was the anger?
Well, the only time, the times I've been angry in my life, which you can count them on one hand, really. There's only been 5 of them in my whole life.
Heard that
and there just happen to be a lot of cameras nearby when I get angry. It's terrible.
Okay.
And there's one guy who was a paparazzi who was coming out of, we were coming out of our apartment, and he was walking backwards. This is a true story. And he tripped and fell on a baby in a stroller, our neighbor's baby. And he sat on the baby in the stroller. And that upset me. That upset me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got upset.
So you're not an angry person?
No, I don't think I am, no.
Okay.
I don't think I am.
I accept that.
I accept that. You see all that? You see the crazy laugh at the end, the little crazy NEFI laugh at the end? And then, so a couple things. So Stephen Colbert is forced to say what? I accept that. And that is the video typing process. Everybody lies to each other, right? You have the psycho angry person going, I'm not angry. And you're like, I accept that. Because what's Stephen Colbert supposed to say? Actually, no, my name is Stephen Colbert. I'm going to stand on my own authority to say, I think you are an angry person. I think you're lying to yourself and you're a bullshitter and you're completely fucking delusional. And this is why, Alec Baldwin, your life is so depressing. Like, no shit, you're fucking always depressed and always full of anxiety because you're an asshole and you don't realize it's you and you blame it on everybody else. Duh! Can't say that, can you? Also notice at the beginning of the clip the extreme fear, right? Because Alec Baldwin is only seeing himself as what? He's only experiencing his life from his point of view like fucking everybody else goddamn does. All Alec Baldwin knows is his feminine FI. Stephen Colbert is picking on Alec Baldwin. Stephen Colbert is bullying Alec. Stephen Colbert is making Alec feel bad. In Alec's mind, he's the victim. And so if a masculine T comes out and shoves everybody away, like, what? I didn't do that. You made me do that. This next clip is a good insight to the world of the masculine TE at the top, where it's like, we are going to connect, we're going to be loving friends through the work.
And I looked at all these people and I see how hard they work. They're so hardworking and they're so conscientious. And you're around people and you're part of one of the great collaborative processes in the world, movie making. Everyone moving like a watch to get everything done. And when you kind of, I don't make that many movies anymore because movie making demanded that I travel and I didn't want to leave my family. All these movies I made, I stayed home. I didn't want to go. If I went away for a week. To leave my family for 4 weeks and go shoot this movie, that was a big deal. And I'm sitting on this pew. And so help me God. I sat on that pew right before they called lunch, and I said, this movie has made me love making movies again. Because I used to love to make movies. I did. You know.
So what's so sad about Alec is that he's got external problems, right? He's got some lawsuits going on. He's got the death of his friend. So he's got the massive amount of emotional just weight that he's carrying from having killed his friend, right? And so he's going through so much externally, but he's also going through a lot internally and has been for a lot of years, where it's like we see this like with the FI and the TE on the polls like that. It's like, oh, I really, really love something. But then after a while, it gets taken away because it's draining, it wears on his family, he doesn't end up liking it. So it's really hard for the T and the F on the polls to really settle into something that you really like. So it was a big deal for him to be like, I used to love movies, and then I just went through the grind for many decades, and then I fucking hated it. It takes me away from my family, and now that's burning down. How the hell am I supposed to manage these both? And so now he's like getting back into loving movies again, working with all the people, and this huge tragedy happens. And that was kind of the scary message that I really saw, is like what Alec and Billy Bush are saying. You know, people that have been through a lot, they're like, yeah, bad things fucking happen.
Almost 3 years. How do we do this?
Huh.
I don't remember.
What you been doing for 3 years? Where you been?
I've talked about it. Everybody's talked. You haven't talked about it. What happened to me?
Well, you know what's interesting? I really mean this, and that is that what I try to do, I shouldn't say what you, but what I try to do, is try to remember that what happens in the tabloid press, because everybody has their reversals and everybody slips on the ice, so to speak, whether it's your fault or not, you know. And the way that it's treated in many, what is a growing section of the media, that's not who you are. It's really important to try to remember that. It's onward and upward, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, Tony Robbins looked at me in the eye and he said, one moment in front of 9,000 people doesn't define your life.
Right.
And but we live in a culture where people would like that to be the case.